Some friends of mine from Nevada and California came up to visit me here in North Idaho. For a year or so, we've been talking about riding one of the most iconic bike rides in North Idaho, the Hiawatha Rails to Trails ride. We were able to make reservations for the last day of the season that the Hiawatha is open. Probably a good thing, because the day after the trail is closed, hunting season begins. Just saying. On the day of our ride, the weather turned very rainy, wet, and very cold. And of course, this meant it was also very muddy. We didn't let the weather dampen our spirits though. In fact, I think it kind of enhanced the ride to some degree, and of course made the stories much better. There were some drawbacks though, like not being able to see some of the fantastic views because, of the fog. Now, the Hiawatha Trail is one of the crown jewels of the Rails to Trails adventures. The route of the Hiawatha is a very scenic bike or hike trail that's 15.2 miles long with 10 very large and very dark train tunnels converted to pathways and 7 sky-high trestles. Now, the ride starts with a trip through the 1.7 mile long St. Paul Pass Tunnel, also known as the Taft Tunnel. It's only one of the many highlights of the trail that follows the crest of the Bitterroot Mountains. Make sure you remember to shift into a lower gear before you stop, or this might just happen to you when you're trying to get started again in too high of a gear. The tunnels and the trestle bridges were every bit as impressive as we had been told, and with the fog, it kind of gave them a really eerie feeling also. The tunnels were very, very dark, so a bright light, maybe two, is a necessity. There are a few tunnel entrances off of the main trail that are blocked off. You can't ride through them, but they allowed for a covered rest area out of the elements. Now, we brought our own snacks and water, which I highly recommend, which is good also because I didn't see any snack shacks along the trail. However, there were some water coolers and some covered information boards placed about every 5 or 6 miles along the trail. Now, we stopped at some of these covered info sites to escape the rain for just a few minutes. About 5 miles before the end of the ride, the rain stopped and the sun finally came out. It was really beautiful. When we came to the end of the trail after 15.2 miles, we pulled into the line for the shuttle ride back up the trail, and there was about a 45-minute or so wait. And since the weather had gotten really nice, a few of us decided to ride the trail back up. It's a little bit of a grind, not too bad, about a 1 to 2% grade all the way up, back up the 15.2 mile trail. Now, since the rain had stopped and the fog had lifted, the sun had come out, and we got to see some fantastic views from the trail, especially from the trestle bridges. We also saw all kinds of wildlife. The deer walked right past us on the trail. Now, even if you take the shuttle back up to the top of the trail, you still have to ride through the St. Paul Tunnel to get back to the parking lot. Now, my buddy Jack had his light fail, so he tucked in right beside me, and we both used my light to go through the last 1.7 long tunnel, the Taft Tunnel. It added a little bit of spice to the end of the ride. And even with riding the trail back up, we arrived only about 20 minutes after the shuttle arrived with the rest of our group. Now, it took us a lot longer to get ready to leave than it did to start the ride because of all the mud we had to clean off before we got back into our vehicles. Of course, after a great ride like this, a great lunch is called for. Now, a few miles down the road in a small mountain town of Mullen, Idaho, is a great hole-in-the-wall burger joint called the Outlaw Bar and Grill. And let me tell you, the place didn't disappoint. Great burgers and fries that covered the plate. Actually, it was going over the side of the plate. And they have great IPA brews. They were great. Now, I was designated driver, so I just had some sodas, but the food was delicious. A must after the ride. Now, this ride should be on everyone's bucket list. Super fun as well as beautiful. And if you just ride the 15.2, it's all downhill. There were little kids riding it, elderly. So it's really something that you could really enjoy at all levels of biking. And you just can't beat the views. A super fun ride I would recommend for everyone.